Eric lived at a bus station, surrounded by noise, dust, and people who were always in a hurry. Every day looked the same. He sat in the same corner, raised his hand, and waited. No dreams, no plans, just survival. He believed life had given him nothing, until one day, everything changed. A luxury car stopped near the station, and a well-dressed businessman stepped out, calm, confident, completely in control. Eric saw him and did what he always did. He walked forward and stretched out his hand, but this time, no money came. The man looked straight into his eyes and said, "If you only take from others, have you ever given anything back?" Eric froze. No one had ever asked him that before. He felt confused, almost embarrassed. "Sir, I'm just a beggar. I have nothing to give." The businessman smiled slightly and said, "If you believe you have nothing to give, then you have no right to receive." Then he walked away. No anger, no insult, just truth. That night, Eric could not sleep. The words kept echoing in his mind. You have nothing to give, then you have no right to receive. For the first time in years, he felt something uncomfortable, not because he was poor, but because he created no value. The next morning, he sat in the same place, but something inside him had changed. When he raised his hand, he stopped halfway. A thought appeared. What if I can create something? Instead of just asking, he looked around and noticed the cars, covered in dust, windows blurred, surfaces dull and lifeless. He stood up. He picked up an old cloth and walked toward a car. Without being asked, without expecting anything, he started cleaning the window, slowly, carefully, as if he was trying to clean more than just the glass. When the owner returned, he was surprised. The window was clear. The car looked better. He looked at Eric, then handed him some money. Not out of pity, but for value. That day, Eric cleaned 3 cars. The next day, 7. A few days later, people started to recognize him. They no longer saw a beggar. They called him, "Hey, can you clean my car?" And that was the moment he realized something powerful. He was no longer begging, he was working. One morning, the same luxury car returned. The businessman stepped out again. Eric recognized him instantly, but this time, he did not raise his hand. He said, "Sir, may I clean your car?" The man nodded. Eric cleaned the car more carefully than ever before. Every movement carried intention. Every wipe felt like he was rebuilding his own life. When he finished, the businessman handed him money and said, "You are no longer a beggar. You are acting like a businessman." Eric stood still. Those words hit deeper than anything before. That night, his thoughts changed. He no longer asked, "How much can I receive?" He asked, "How much value can I create?" Days passed, then weeks. Eric began to improve. He saved money, bought better cloths, used proper cleaning tools, learned how to do the job better. 3 months later, he was no longer sitting. He stood, confident, focused. 6 months later, at that same bus station, something new appeared. A small shop with a simple sign, Eric Car Care Service. One day, the businessman returned again. He stepped out of his car and looked around. Then he saw him. Eric, wearing a clean uniform, standing in front of his shop. "Have we met before?" the man asked. Eric smiled. "Yes, twice, but today I am no longer a beggar." The businessman looked at the sign, then back at Eric. "What changed your life?" Eric answered calmly, "You taught me one thing. If you want to receive, you must give first. And when I started giving, I realized something. I was never poor. I just never created value." The wind moved through the station. Cars came and went. But one thing had changed forever. Eric no longer waited for life to give him a chance. He created it.